Hello, my best students, and welcome back to Native Flow English. I want to kick things off with something most teachers would never admit out loud. If you've been grinding away at English for weeks, months, even years, and you still get that nervous, shy, or stuck feeling, when it's time to speak up, it's not your fault. You're not broken. You're not slow. You were simply never shown how English is really spoken out there in the real world. Just think about it. In school, they hit you with grammar rules, endless vocabulary lists, and maybe even some pronunciation drills. But then you throw on a movie or just listen to people on the street, and suddenly it feels like they're speaking a whole other language. They talk super fast. They skip words like crazy. They connect sounds like they're nothing. They say, let me, gonna, wanna, yeah, instead of let me, going to, want to, you. And just like that, you're lost all over again. But that all changes right here. That all ends today. In this video, I'm going to walk you through, step by step, how real people speak real English. Not the English of exams, not the English of boring textbooks, but the English of life, of conversations, of making connections. So, if you've ever understood English but couldn't quite spit it back out fluently, if you've ever had to translate every single word in your head before you could speak, if people have ever told you your English sounds too clear or just unnatural, then this video is your turning point. Stick with me until the very end, because I promise you, after this, you'll never hear English the same way again, and you'll definitely never speak it the same way again. And if you're serious about really transforming your English, subscribe to Native Flow English right now. Because here, English isn't just some subject you study. It's a living, breathing language. And it's your ticket to confidence, freedom, and feeling like you can actually do anything. Now, let's dive in. Part 1. Why you don't sound natural in English. Let's keep it real here for a sec. You want to speak English like native speakers, right? But when you actually try to speak, something just feels off. You feel like you're overthinking everything. Your sentences feel like they're coming out in slow motion. And you can't even begin to understand fast English when someone replies. Now, here's the cold, hard truth. The problem isn't your English skills. The problem is the system you've been following. You were taught English like it was just another subject, not like an actual living, breathing language. You were taught rules, not real conversation. Let me lay out 5 rock-solid reasons why you don't sound natural in English. And these are honest, real truths most teachers just flat out ignore. 1, you think in your native language, and then translate. Every single time you go to speak, you build a sentence in your own language first, then you try to translate it into English in your head. That's a recipe for delay, confusion, and a whole lot of hesitation. Native speakers never do that. They don't think and translate. They just speak what they're feeling. You've got to train your brain to think in English until it becomes second nature. We'll dive deeper into exactly how to do this in later sections. 2, you're using textbook English, not real English. Most learners end up saying things like, I am fine, thank you. My hobbies are reading books and listening to music. Could you please tell me your name? It sounds polite, sure. It sounds technically correct. But guess what? Nobody actually talks like that. That's straight up robot English. Real people say stuff like, hey, what's up? Yeah, I like reading. Hey, I'm Sarah. You. If you want to sound natural, you've got to ditch the idea of sounding perfect and start focusing on sounding real. 3. You speak way too slowly and carefully. You're terrified of making mistakes, so you're spitting out one word at a time, and the person listening just completely loses interest because real conversation is fast, casual, and flows naturally. Even native speakers make mistakes. They just roll with it and keep talking. You don't have to be slow to be correct. You have to be confident to be understood. 4. You don't practice like people actually speak. You're memorizing grammar rules. You're writing essays. You're listening to slow learning English CDs. But that's not even close to how people actually talk. People interrupt each other constantly. People change subjects on a dime. People say, like anyway, all the freaking time. To sound like them, you have to listen to them, copy them, shadow them, and basically just speak like them. Real English is messy. You have to practice messy. 5. You're focused on perfection, not communication. You're scared to make mistakes, so you're holding out for the perfect sentence with the perfect grammar and the perfect word choice. But guess what? While you're sitting there waiting for perfection, a native speaker already said it, probably full of mistakes, and they've already moved on. Fluency isn't about being perfect. It's about being understood. It's about getting your message across. Kids speak broken English all the time, and people understand them just fine. Why? Because they speak without fear, without shame. You need that same freedom. You don't sound natural in English because you were taught the wrong way, plain and simple. But now that you know the truth, you can finally start learning the right way, the way real people actually talk. And once you do, everything will change. Trust me. Part 2. How people actually talk in English. Let's kick off this section with a truth that nobody ever bothered to tell you. There are actually 2 completely different kinds of English in the world. 1. The English that people learn in classrooms, books, and those language learning apps. 2. The English that people actually speak in real life, on the streets, in cafes, in movies, in their homes, and in meetings. And here's the biggest problem of all. These 2 versions of English are worlds apart. Let's break it down with some examples. Situation, you learn in class. People actually say, asking about time. What time is it now? Hey, you got the time? Asking for help. Could you please help me? Hey, can you help me out? Saying you're tired. I am feeling very tired today. Ugh, I'm dead today. Making a suggestion. Shall we go for lunch? Want to grab lunch? Saying you don't know. I do not know the answer. Don't know or no idea. See the difference right there? One is formal, slow, long, and robotic. The other is casual, natural, fast, and just feels alive. And that second one is what people actually use in real life. If you want to become fluent, you absolutely have to understand what's going on in that second column and how to start using it yourself. Now, let me walk you through step by step the most important parts of real spoken English and how to master them. 1. Contractions and sound merging. In real speech, we don't say full words like robots. People don't say, I am going to do it after I have finished eating. They say, I am going to do it after I finished eating. I am becomes I'm. You are becomes you're. They have becomes they've. He will becomes he'll. She would have becomes she'd have. Let me becomes Lemmy. Going to becomes gonna. Want to becomes wanna. Example in textbook English. I want to go there because I'm hungry. In real English, I want to go there because I'm hungry. Now it's your turn to try it. Take any sentence and contract it. Turn I will do it when I have time into I'll do it when I've got time. That's how people actually speak. Dropping words. They just vanish in speech. Real English doesn't include every single word. In casual speech, people drop helping verbs, articles, repeating subjects, and even entire parts of sentences. Some examples. Are you coming with me? Becomes, you coming? Did you eat yet? Becomes, eat yet. Do you want to go out? Becomes, want to go out? They skip words because in conversation, meaning is way more important than perfect grammar. This doesn't mean you should always skip words, but you absolutely should understand it when you hear it. Connected speech. Everything blends together. In real English, words connect like a train. They don't stop cleanly between each word. What are you doing? Becomes, what you doing? Did you eat yet? Becomes, jeet yet? Let me help you becomes, let me help you. This is what's called connected speech, where the end of one word connects smoothly with the beginning of the next. These connections are a huge part of what makes English sound so fast and so hard to understand if you're not used to it. Fillers, in every language, people say things like, kind of, sort of, and actually. Anyway, so they're not useless. They're completely normal. They give speakers a little bit of time to think. They also show hesitation, surprise, or emotion. Some examples. I kind of liked it, but, it was weird. So, what do you want to do now? You don't necessarily need to use them, but you absolutely have to understand them. They're part of the natural rhythm of the language, sentence fragments, and real reactions. Textbooks tell you to always speak in full, complete sentences. Real people just say, maybe, sure, nope, probably not. Wow. Seriously, that's crazy. Wait, what? Real conversations are built on tiny fragments, not long, perfectly polished sentences. If someone says, "Did you see what happened yesterday?" you don't respond with, "Yes, I did see what happened yesterday." You just say, "Yeah. Oh my God. Yes, brother. Unbelievable. I know, right?" This is the language of real life. This is the English that flows naturally in homes, offices, streets, airports, and podcasts. Intonation and emotion, the hidden power. Words are just not enough on their own. How you say them changes absolutely everything. Compare these examples. Yeah. 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 Yeah, okay. Same word, but totally different meaning. That's intonation in action, and it's one of the biggest things that separates sounding flat and sounding fluent. Start really noticing the emotions when people talk. Happy, tired, angry, excited. Their tone changes. This is how English comes alive. Speed and rhythm, it's not what you think. People don't speak fast because they're saying more words per second. They speak fast because they're saying less of each word. They cut sounds, blend sounds, and drop sounds altogether. For example, "Did you eat yet?" sounds like DJ eat. "You're going to be late" sounds like you're gonna be late. Rhythm is actually way more important than speed. If your sentence has a good rhythm, it will feel natural, even if you say it somewhat slowly. Try speaking in chunks. "I want to go to the store real quick." That's how English flows naturally. Part 3, How to learn and practice real spoken English step by step. Step 1. Change your goal. Stop learning English and start living English. This is the first and most important change you have to make if you seriously want to be fluent. Most people say, "I am learning English." But here's the real truth. You can't actually learn English the same way you learn math, history, or geography. Math is all about numbers. History is about facts. Geography is about places. You study them, you memorize them, you pass exams, and then you probably forget most of it. But English isn't like that at all. English isn't just some subject. English is a living, breathing language. It's a language that people use to fall in love, to argue, to do business, to order food, to cry, to tell jokes, to dream, and to truly connect with other human beings. If you treat English like just another subject, you're always going to be stuck as a student. You'll always feel like you're in a classroom. You'll always believe that English is something separate from your real life. But if you treat English as something you actually live in, something you breathe, something that surrounds you every single day, you will naturally grow into fluency. So, how do you actually live English? Living English means making it a part of your daily environment, not just something you do during your scheduled study time. If you're cooking, say the names of the ingredients in English out loud. If you're walking somewhere, describe the weather in English in your head. If you're thinking about tomorrow, think about it in English. If you're planning something, plan it in English sentences inside your head. You stop waiting for your dedicated study hour to use English. You start living inside English every single minute of the day. Imagine two different people. Person A studies English for 1 hour every night. They memorize 10 new words. They write out 5 grammar exercises. Then they close their book and go right back to their daily life, speaking only in their native language. Person B studies for only 20 minutes, but they actively live in English all day long. They speak to themselves in English. They describe everything around them in English. They watch a video and repeat the sentences out loud. They even argue with themselves in English inside their head. Who do you think will become fluent faster? The second person, every single time. Because fluency doesn't come from just putting in hours of study. It comes from the environment you create for your brain. Your brain becomes fluent in the language it lives in. Step 2. Build a daily speaking system, even if you're completely alone. Now that you understand that English must be lived, not just studied, you absolutely need a daily speaking system. Without a system in place, you're always going to be relying on motivation to get you going. And motivation is a fickle thing. It comes and goes. But a system, a solid system, keeps you moving forward every single day, whether you feel motivated or not. A system is what transforms English from a far-off dream into a tangible reality. And here's the cold, hard truth. Most learners fail, not because they're lazy, not because they're not smart enough, and not because they lack the ability to do it. They fail because they simply don't have a clear system in place to practice speaking every single day. Think about going to the gym. If you only go once in a while, whenever you feel like it, nothing really changes. But if you go every single day, even if it's just for 20 minutes, your muscles will grow stronger. The same is absolutely true for your mouth, your brain, and your overall fluency. You need a workout plan specifically for your English-speaking muscles. Here's a super simple but extremely powerful system that you can start using today. Speak to yourself out loud. This is absolutely the foundation. Do not wait for a partner. Do not wait for a teacher to help you. Do not wait for a class to start. Speak to yourself loudly, out in the open, all by yourself. Talk about what you're doing at that moment. I'm making tea right now. I need to clean my room today. I have to finish my project by tomorrow. Describe your thoughts. I feel tired, but I have to keep going. I'm worried about the meeting later today. I'm excited to watch a new movie tonight. This might feel a little strange at first, but it is without a doubt the most powerful way to make English a real habit. Mirror practice. Stand right in front of a mirror. Look yourself directly in the eyes. Pretend you're talking to another person and speak for a solid 5 minutes. Choose a topic to talk about. Your goals, a childhood memory, what you did yesterday, or what you're planning to do next week. Why does this actually work? Because the mirror creates pressure. You're literally looking at yourself. You can see your mouth moving, your facial expressions, your body language. It feels much more like you're speaking to someone else. This helps build confidence and gives you real speaking practice at the exact same time. Shadowing practice. Shadowing simply means copying native speakers word for word. So how do you actually do it? Choose a short video or podcast, just 1 to 2 minutes long. Play about 10 seconds of it. Then pause. Repeat exactly what you heard. Copy the speed, the tone of voice, the stress on certain words, and the overall rhythm. Don't just repeat the words themselves. Repeat the music of the language. This is how you train your mouth to sound completely natural. How to use this system daily. Spend 10 minutes speaking to yourself out loud, 5 minutes practicing in front of the mirror, and 15 minutes doing shadowing practice. That's only 30 minutes total each day. But if you do it every single day, your English will truly transform. The biggest excuse people make? I have no one to talk to. This excuse has to die today, once and for all. You absolutely do not need someone else to start speaking. Your phone can be your partner. Your mirror can be your partner. Your own voice can be your partner. If you speak daily, even just to yourself, you will build fluency. If you just sit around waiting for others, you will likely stay silent forever. You want fluency? Then build a system for yourself. Speak every day, whether you're alone or with someone else. Use the mirror to your advantage. Use shadowing to learn from the best. Use your own voice as your primary tool. Because fluency isn't about where you live geographically. It's not about who you happen to know. It's about whether you create a speaking system and actually follow it every single day. Step 3. Train your brain to think in English. Stop translating forever. One of the biggest reasons why people can't speak fluently is this simple fact. They think in their own native language first and then try to translate it into English. This whole process is slow, painful, and completely unnatural. By the time you finally translate everything in your head, the conversation has already moved on without you. You feel nervous and self-conscious. You lose confidence in your abilities. And ultimately, you just end up staying silent. To truly become fluent, you absolutely have to cut out translation completely. You have to train your brain to think directly in English. without any intermediate steps. Translation slows down your speaking speed dramatically. You pause way too much, and people lose interest in what you're saying. Translation leads to mistakes because the word order is different in every language. Translation makes you incredibly anxious because you're always second-guessing yourself, constantly checking if what you're saying is correct. Translation keeps English as a foreign and somewhat scary subject in your brain, not as a natural and expressive voice. Fluent speakers never translate. They see something, they feel something, and they react directly in English, without any mental gymnastics. How do you actually train your brain to think in English? This isn't some kind of magic trick. It's simply a process of training, and you can easily do it daily. The name everything method. Wherever you happen to be, try to name objects in English out loud or in your head. Chair, table, door, window, sky, clouds, street, car, bus, bread, milk, cup, plate. Then expand those single words into short and simple sentences. The chair is heavy. The sky looks beautiful today. The bus is really crowded today. The milk is cold. This builds an instant and direct connection between your brain and English words. The mental movie method. Imagine that you're watching a movie in your head. Describe what you're seeing in English. For example, imagine you're walking home. Say to yourself, I am walking slowly. The road is empty. I see 2 children playing in the park. A dog is barking loudly. I feel tired but peaceful. This starts to make English your inner voice, the voice that's constantly running in the background. The emotional reaction method. React to everything around you in English. When you're happy, say, this is amazing. When you're angry, say, this is so annoying. When you're excited, say, I can't wait. When you're tired, say, I need some rest. Why is this so powerful? Because it directly connects English to your deepest feelings and emotions. Once English becomes closely linked with your emotions, it feels much more natural and it becomes permanently ingrained in your mind. The 1-minute thinking drill. Every single morning, choose one simple topic. Then think about that topic only in English for 1 full minute. Some topic examples. My breakfast. My plan for today. My favorite memory. Something that makes me happy. At first, this will likely feel pretty difficult and challenging. But after several weeks of consistent practice, your brain will naturally begin choosing English automatically. If you always translate in your head, you will never truly be fluent. But if you train your brain to think directly in English, fluency will gradually become automatic starting from today. So let your brain breathe English, starting right now. Not tomorrow, not someday, but today. Step 4. Train your listening like a speaker, not like a student. Most learners make this very common mistake. They listen to English only to understand the general meaning. But truly, fluent speakers listen for 2 very distinct things: meaning and patterns. If you only listen for meaning, you might understand the overall message. But you're not actually improving your own speaking abilities. If you actively listen for patterns, you'll start to catch the specific way that people join words together, the way they stress certain sounds, and the way they shorten sentences. This is how you ultimately learn to speak like real people. Think about how babies learn languages. They definitely don't read grammar books. They don't translate anything in their heads. And they definitely don't study endless vocabulary lists. They simply listen intently for months, absorbing every single sound, every rhythm, and every emotion. Then, all of a sudden, they just start speaking. Your journey is really the same. To speak fluently, you must first listen in the right way. How to practice listening for fluency. Active listening with repetition. Choose a short audio clip or video, something around 30 to 60 seconds long. Listen to it very carefully. Then, play it again. And then again. Each time you listen, focus on noticing different things. The first time, just listen for the overall meaning. The second time, pay close attention to the pronunciation and the speed. The third time, focus on the stress and the intonation. And the fourth time, try to repeat after it and mimic everything you hear. This is how you build real speaking power through active listening. Shadow listening. Don't just listen silently. Repeat immediately after the speaker, like an echo. If the speaker says, "What are you doing later?" you immediately say, "What are you doing later?" This trains both your mouth and your ears at the exact same time. Listen to different voices and accents. Don't limit yourself to just one particular accent. Listen to American, British, Australian, and Canadian speakers. Also, make sure to listen to fluent non-native speakers as well. Why is this important? Because fluency isn't just about mastering one specific accent. Fluency is the ability to understand and naturally respond in any real-world situation. Break sentences down into music. English isn't just a collection of words. It has a certain rhythm and musicality to it. Listen to how native speakers say, "I don't know. I don't know. Did you eat yet? Jeet yet?" If you only read English, you will never learn this musicality. But if you listen carefully, you absolutely will. Many learners passively listen for hours on end, but never actively repeat anything, never copy anything, and never really analyze anything. This is often a waste of valuable time. Listening must be active. You have to take the sound and put it into your mouth. Don't listen like a student who's just trying to pass a test. Listen like a speaker who actually wants to live inside the language. Every single time you listen, you're collecting energy for your next sentence. The more carefully you listen, the more powerfully you'll ultimately speak. Step 5. Use real English, not textbook English. This is one of the biggest reasons why so many learners never truly sound fluent. They study English for years. They pass all their exams. They can easily read newspapers, and they can write impressive essays. But when they try to have a simple, everyday conversation, they completely freeze up. Why is this? It's because the English they've been studying isn't actually the English that people speak in real life. In school or in traditional textbooks, you might see sentences like, "How do you do?" "I am fine, thank you. And you? Would you like to accompany me to the cinema this evening?" Now, compare that to how real people actually speak. "Hey, what's up? I'm good. How about you? Want to catch a movie tonight?" Which one of those do you actually hear in daily life? Always the second one. If you only study textbook English, 3 key things will inevitably happen. 1, you will understand very little when people are talking casually. 2, you will sound robotic and completely unnatural when you speak. And 3, you will feel totally disconnected from real, everyday conversations. To be fluent, you have to learn English as it is actually spoken, not just as it is printed on the page. Where can you find real English? Vlogs and YouTube channels. Watch daily life vlogs, not just formal lectures. Listen carefully to how they talk directly to the camera because that's natural, unscripted English. TV shows and movies. Not all shows are necessarily good for learners, but light dramas, comedies, and reality shows tend to use everyday English. Watch them first with subtitles, then without, and then try repeating what you hear. Podcasts and interviews. Podcasts are great because people usually speak freely without relying on a script. You'll hear hesitation, slang, fillers, and lots of real sentence patterns. Conversations all around you, if you happen to live in an English-speaking environment. Listen closely to how people order food at restaurants, how they greet each other, how they argue with each other, how they make jokes, and how they just generally communicate. How to learn effectively from real English. Collect chunks, not just single words. Don't just write down priority. Instead, write down, "It's not my top priority right now." Don't just write down convince. Instead, write down, "I tried to convince him, but he didn't listen." This is because people don't typically speak in single, isolated words. They speak in ready-made chunks of language. Repeat them aloud. Take every phrase that you collect and speak it out loud at least 5 times. Really make it part of your muscle memory. Use them immediately. If you learned the phrase, "that makes sense," try to use it in your own conversations that same day. That's how it really sticks in your mind. So, stop focusing on learning the English of classrooms and start focusing on learning the English of real people. Stop copying things from books and start copying the way people actually speak. Because fluency isn't about just being correct on paper. It's about truly being connected in real life. Step 6. Track your progress and build unstoppable momentum. Fluency isn't built in a single day. It's built slowly, piece by piece, step by step. And because it inevitably takes time and effort, many learners eventually give up. They feel stuck in a rut. They feel lost and discouraged. And they just stop trying altogether. The secret to never giving up is actually very simple. Track your progress closely. When you track your own growth, you can clearly see proof that you are actually moving forward. That proof gives you motivation. That motivation creates consistency. And that consistency ultimately builds fluency. Think about fitness. If you go to the gym without tracking anything, you really don't know if you're improving or not. You just lift weights randomly. You run randomly on the treadmill. And after several weeks, you might feel like nothing has really changed. But if you write down your progress, the weight you lifted, the distance you ran, you can see the numbers gradually grow over time. That gives you energy and motivation to continue pushing forward. The same exact principle applies to learning English. Without tracking, you feel lost and directionless. With tracking, you feel empowered and unstoppable. How do you actually track your English progress? Keep a daily speaking journal. Every day, record yourself, speaking for 2 minutes on any topic. Save the recording. After 30 days, listen to the first and the latest. You will hear the difference. Progress notebook. Write 1 line every day. What new phrase did I use? What mistake did I notice? What did I say better than yesterday? This creates visible proof of progress. Weekly reflection. Every week, ask yourself, did I speak more than last week? Did I use at least 3 new expressions? Do I feel more confident than before? Write your answer honestly. Even small growth matters. Once you see progress, even small progress, you will not want to stop. That is momentum. Momentum means fluency starts pulling you forward instead of you pushing yourself. At first, you push yourself to practice. Later, practice pulls you because you love the progress you see. Fluency is not a dream. It is a system. If you build a system, live in English, think in English, listen carefully, use real phrases, and track your progress, then fluency becomes inevitable. Do not wait for motivation. Create it with proof. And once you see even one small change, let that change carry you to the next and the next until one day you wake up and realize you are fluent. Record yourself talking for 2 minutes straight about anything that comes to mind. Seriously, just pick a topic and go. Then save that recording. Set a reminder for 30 days from now. When that day arrives, listen to the very first recording you made alongside the most recent one you've done. You'll be able to clearly hear the difference in your speaking ability. Keep a progress notebook. Jot down a single line each day. Ask yourself things like, what new phrase did I successfully incorporate today? What mistake did I catch myself making? What did I articulate better than I did yesterday? This creates tangible, undeniable proof of your progress. Weekly reflection is also key. Each week, take a moment to honestly evaluate your progress. Did I speak more this week compared to last week? Was I able to use at least 3 new expressions in my conversations? Do I feel more confident when I speak now than I did before? Write down your answers truthfully. Remember, even the tiniest bit of growth is significant. Once you start seeing progress, even if it's just a little bit, you won't want to stop. That's the power of momentum. Momentum means your fluency will start carrying you forward, instead of you constantly having to force yourself. Initially, you're pushing yourself to practice. But eventually, practice starts to pull you along because you're enjoying the progress you're making. Fluency isn't some unattainable dream. It's a system you can build. If you create a system, immerse yourself in English, think in English, pay close attention to how native speakers talk, use authentic phrases, and diligently track your progress, then fluency becomes practically inevitable. Don't sit around waiting for motivation to strike. Create it yourself with concrete evidence of your improvement. And once you notice even the smallest change, let that change fuel you, carrying you onward to the next and the next, until one day you wake up and realize you're actually fluent. Part 4, what you must change step by step. Step 1, stop saying my English is bad. Change how you see yourself first. This is the first and most important change you must make. Because before your mouth can change, before your words can change, before your speaking can improve, your identity must change. Every time you say, my English is bad, I can't speak like them, I'm too old to learn, I'm not confident, I always forget words, people will laugh at me. You are programming your brain to fail. You are giving your mind a command. Stay small, stay afraid, don't grow, don't try. And your brain will obey. You will hesitate. You will overthink. You will stay silent even when you know what to say. So here is the truth. Your English is not bad. Your intelligence is not low. Your mouth is not broken. What's broken is the belief system you were forced to build. Most English learners were never told this. Your belief about yourself controls your progress more than your grammar, your vocabulary, or your accent. Let me say that again. You can memorize 10,000 English words. You can study grammar for 10 years. But if you still believe I'm not good enough, you will never speak fluently because your mouth will stay afraid. From today, I want you to stop introducing yourself as a learner or a beginner. Start seeing yourself as a communicator, speaker, improver, explorer, English user, not just a learner. Even if your English is still basic, your mindset must be fluent. Say things like, I'm working on my English every day. I speak better than I did 30 days ago. I'm training myself to speak naturally. I'm not perfect, but I'm progressing. These statements create a new story in your mind, and your mouth will follow that story. There are two learners with the same level of English. Person A says, I know only a little English. I'm bad at speaking. I always get nervous. Person B says, I'm improving every day. I'm building confidence. I speak without fear. Now, guess who will be fluent in 3 months? Person B, even if their grammar is worse, because confidence plus belief builds momentum. And momentum beats perfection every single time. Every morning, stand in front of a mirror and say these sentences. I'm an English speaker. I'm getting better every day. Mistakes are part of my growth. Fluency is my future, and I'm building it right now. Say it out loud, not silently. Train your voice to match your new identity. Your belief becomes your behavior. Your behavior becomes your fluency. If you see yourself as broken, you will never speak with power. But if you see yourself as growing, learning, and transforming, you will not only speak, you will inspire the world with your words. Okay, let's dive into what needs to change, step by step. First things first, stop telling yourself your English is bad. The very first and most crucial change you need to make is altering how you view yourself. Seriously, it all starts with your self-perception. Because before your mouth can form the right words, and before your vocabulary can expand, before your speaking abilities can improve, you have to transform your self-identity. Every time you utter phrases like, my English is terrible, I'll never be able to speak like a native, I'm too old to learn a new language, I lack the confidence, I constantly forget words, or people are going to laugh at me, you're essentially programming your brain for failure. You're giving your mind a direct command. Stay small, stay scared. Don't even try to grow or improve. And guess what? Your brain will listen. You'll find yourself hesitating, overthinking every little thing, and staying silent even when you know perfectly well what you want to say. So let me tell you the honest truth. Your English isn't bad, your intelligence isn't lacking, and there's nothing physically wrong with your mouth. The only thing that's broken is the limiting belief system that you've been conditioned to accept. Sadly, most English learners are never told this. The truth is, your belief in yourself has a far greater impact on your progress than your grammar skills, your vocabulary size, or even your accent. Let me reiterate that. You could memorize 10,000 English words and spend a decade studying grammar rules. But if you still harbor the deep-seated belief that you're simply not good enough, you'll never achieve fluency because your mouth will remain locked in fear. From this day forward, I want you to completely stop introducing yourself as just a learner or a beginner. Start thinking of yourself as a communicator, a speaker, someone who's constantly improving, an explorer of the English language, an active user of English, not just a passive learner. Even if your current English skills are still quite basic, your mindset needs to be fluent. Start using phrases like, I'm actively working on improving my English every single day. I'm already speaking better than I did just 30 days ago. I'm training myself to speak more naturally and fluidly. I'm not perfect, but I'm making consistent progress. These kinds of positive statements create a whole new narrative in your mind, and your mouth will naturally follow that narrative. Let's imagine two learners with roughly the same level of English proficiency. Person A constantly says things like, I only know a little bit of English. I'm really bad at speaking. I always get so nervous. Person B, on the other hand, says, I'm improving a little more each day. I'm steadily building my confidence. I speak without fear of making mistakes. Now, who do you think is more likely to achieve fluency within 3 months? It's person B, without a doubt. Even if their grammar isn't quite as polished, their confidence and unwavering belief in themselves will create unstoppable momentum. And momentum, my friends, beats perfection every single time. Every single morning, I want you to stand in front of a mirror and say these sentences out loud. I am an English speaker. I am getting better every day. Mistakes are simply a part of my growth process. Fluency is my future, and I'm actively building it right now. Say these affirmations out loud, not silently in your head. Train your voice to match your newfound identity as a confident English speaker. Remember, your beliefs shape your behavior, and your behavior ultimately determines your fluency. If you continue to see yourself as somehow broken or inadequate, you'll never speak with genuine power. But if you embrace the idea that you're constantly growing, learning, and transforming, you won't just speak. You'll inspire the world with your words. Step 2. Stop learning English like a school subject. Start learning it like a language you live in. This is the second thing you must change. And this is one of the main reasons learners stay stuck for years. In school, you were trained to study English like history, chemistry, math, geography. But English is not a subject. It is not a list of facts. It is not a formula you memorize. English is a living, moving human language. It's not something you pass an exam in. It's something you use to live, laugh, cry, connect, and express your soul. Here's what school taught you to do. Memorize long vocabulary lists. Fill in grammar blanks. Write essay after essay. Read unrealistic stories. Fear every mistake. Focus on tests, not talking. Worry more about grades than conversation. But guess what? Nobody in the real world asks you to define the past perfect tense. Nobody cares if your sentence has perfect structure. They care if they understand you. They care if you're confident. They care if you're real. You must break the habits that school gave you and build new ones that reflect how real people actually use English. Let me show you the difference. School mode, real fluency mode. Memorize 50 new words a week. Use 10 words in 5 real sentences daily. Study grammar rules for hours. Listen, plus speak real English conversations. Fear making mistakes. Learn from mistakes by speaking more. Wait for a teacher to guide you. Be your own coach. Speaker mirror. Write essays that no one reads. Record voice notes and talk out loud. Here's what you must do from now on. Stop writing essays. Start speaking responses. Example, instead of writing, what did you do this weekend? Answer it verbally. Stop collecting words. Start building real phrases. Don't write environment equals surroundings. Instead, practice. The environment here is peaceful. Stop doing silent reading. Start doing voice reading. Read articles and speak them out loud to train rhythm, tone, and flow. Stop trying to get 100% right. Start getting 100% expressive. Focus on being understood, not being perfect. Sentence replacements that help shift your mindset. I must get this grammar rule correct. I must make sure people understand what I mean. I have to remember every word. I will learn better by using the words I know. I'll speak only when I'm ready. I'll speak even when I'm not ready, because that's how I become ready. You weren't born to study English forever. You were born to use English to connect with the world. The day you stop treating it like a subject is the day you start speaking it like a human. And that is the day fluency begins. The second major change you need to make is to stop approaching English as if it were just another academic subject you're studying in school. Instead, start embracing it as a living, breathing language that you actually live in. This is one of the primary reasons why so many learners get stuck in a rut for years. In school, you were likely taught to analyze English in the same way you would study history, chemistry, mathematics, or geography. But the truth is, English isn't just another subject to be dissected and memorized. It's not a static list of facts, and it's definitely not a complicated formula that you simply plug numbers into. English is a dynamic, ever-evolving human language. It's not something you just cram for in order to pass an exam. It's a tool you use to truly live your life, to laugh, to cry, to connect with others, and to express the deepest parts of your soul. Think about what traditional schooling usually teaches you to do. Memorize endless vocabulary lists. Fill in the blanks in grammar exercises. Churn out essay after essay. Read dry, unrealistic stories. Constantly fear making mistakes. Focus primarily on passing tests rather than actually speaking. And worry more about your grades than about having real conversations. But guess what? In the real world, nobody's going to ask you to define the past perfect tense. Nobody cares if your sentences have flawless grammatical structure. What people do care about is whether they can understand you, whether you exude confidence, and whether you're being genuine. You absolutely must break free from the outdated habits that school instilled in you and start developing new habits that reflect how real people actually use English in their everyday lives. Let me illustrate the key differences between the traditional school mode of learning and the real fluency mode. School mode. Memorize 50 new vocabulary words every week. Spend hours poring over grammar rules. Constantly fear making mistakes and being corrected. Wait for a teacher to provide guidance and feedback. Write countless essays that nobody will ever read. Real fluency mode. Actively use 10 new words in at least 5 real-world sentences every day. Listen to and participate in authentic English conversations. Learn from your mistakes by actively speaking even more. Become your own coach using a mirror or voice recorder to analyze your speech. Record voice notes and simply talk out loud about whatever comes to mind. Here's what you need to start doing right away. Stop writing essays that nobody reads and start speaking your responses instead. For example, instead of writing out the answer to the question, "What did you do this weekend?" simply answer it verbally. Stop collecting individual words in isolation and start building real, usable phrases. Don't just write down a definition like environment turns surroundings. Instead, actively practice using the word in context. The environment here is so peaceful and relaxing. Stop engaging in silent reading and start reading aloud in your own voice. Read articles and speak them out loud to train your rhythm, tone, and flow. Stop trying to achieve 100% accuracy and start focusing on being 100% expressive. Concentrate on making sure you're understood, not on being perfectly correct. Here are some sentence replacements that can help you shift your mindset. Instead of thinking, I absolutely must get this grammar rule correct, think, I want to make sure people understand what I mean. Instead of thinking, I have to remember every single word, think, I'll learn even better by actively using the words I already know. Instead of thinking, I'll only speak when I feel completely ready, think, I'll speak even when I don't feel ready, because that's how I'll actually become ready. You weren't born to spend your entire life just studying English. You were born to use English as a powerful tool to connect with the world around you. The day you finally stop treating English like just another academic subject is the day you'll finally start speaking it like a real human being. And that, my friends, is the day your fluency will truly begin to blossom. Step 3. Remove the fear of making mistakes, because mistakes are the path, not the problem. Let's be brutally honest. One of the biggest silent killers of your English fluency is fear. And it hides inside these thoughts. What if I say it wrong? What if people laugh at me? What if I forget the word? What if I sound stupid? What if they don't understand me? And because of these fears, you stay silent. You avoid speaking. You wait. You pause. You plan. You delete the sentence. You keep it in your head and never say it out loud. And do you know what happens when you live like this? You protect your ego, but you destroy your fluency. Every fluent speaker you admire, every native speaker you listen to, every confident voice you hear on podcasts or in YouTube videos, they all made thousands of mistakes. Thousands. But they didn't treat mistakes as shame. They treated mistakes as necessary practice as part of the process. Let me tell you what actually happens when you make a mistake while speaking. Your brain notices the mistake. It searches for a better way to say it. It learns to correct itself. The memory becomes stronger. Next time it says it faster and better. This is called error-based learning, and it's one of the most powerful ways humans learn anything. Children do it all the time. They say go instead of went, and nobody laughs. They say I do it instead of I did it. And we smile and help them. And guess what? They learn faster than adults because they're not afraid. They don't care about being wrong. They just speak and the brain does the work. You must return to that mindset. From now on, say this to yourself. Every mistake I make is proof that I'm speaking. If I'm not making mistakes, I'm not growing. I would rather speak broken English than live with silent regret. I'm not here to impress anyone. I'm here to improve. Simple exercise to remove fear. Take your phone. Open the voice recorder. Speak for 3 minutes straight on any topic. Don't stop. Don't edit. Don't delete. After that, listen to yourself. Notice your pauses, your errors, your emotions. Then try the same topic again with better flow. Do this daily. Soon you'll stop fearing mistakes and start using them as fuel. You were never meant to speak perfect English. You were meant to speak real English. English with courage. English with feeling. English with mistakes and growth. Your mistakes are not the end of fluency. They are the beginning. The third crucial step? You've got to ditch that crippling fear of making mistakes. Because mistakes aren't the problem. They're actually the path to fluency. Let's be brutally honest here. One of the biggest, yet often unspoken, obstacles to your English fluency is simply fear. And it's a fear that manifests itself in those nagging, self-defeating thoughts that constantly run through your head. What if I say something wrong? What if people laugh at me? What if I completely forget the word I need? What if I just sound plain stupid? What if they don't even understand what I'm trying to say? And because of these overwhelming fears, you end up staying silent, avoiding speaking opportunities altogether. You hesitate, you pause, you carefully plan out every single sentence in your head. You might even delete the sentence entirely before you even get the chance to say it out loud. And do you know what the ultimate result of living like this is? You might succeed in protecting your ego from potential embarrassment, but you're simultaneously destroying any chance of achieving real fluency. Every single fluent speaker you admire, every native speaker you enjoy listening to, every confident voice you hear on podcasts or in YouTube videos, they all made countless mistakes along the way. Thousands even. But they didn't view those mistakes as a source of shame or embarrassment. Instead, they recognized them as necessary practice, an essential part of the learning process. Let me explain what actually happens in your brain when you make a mistake while speaking. Your brain immediately notices the error. It automatically starts searching for a better, more accurate way to express what you're trying to say. It actively learns to correct itself in real time. The memory of the correct phrasing becomes stronger and more deeply ingrained. The next time you attempt to say the same thing, you'll be able to do it faster, more accurately, and with greater confidence. This process is known as error-based learning, and it's one of the most powerful and effective ways that human beings learn anything. Children do it all the time without even thinking about it. They might say goed instead of went, and nobody laughs at them. They might say I doed it instead of I did it, and we simply smile and gently help them correct themselves. And guess what? They often learn much faster than adults because they're not burdened by the fear of being wrong. They don't obsess over making mistakes. They just speak freely, and their brains naturally take care of the rest. You need to actively try to recapture that childlike mindset. From this moment on, I want you to start saying this to yourself. Every mistake I make is simply proof that I'm actually speaking. If I'm not making any mistakes, it means I'm not pushing myself to grow. I would much rather speak imperfect, broken English than live with the silent regret of never having tried at all. I'm not here to impress anyone with my flawless grammar. I'm here to improve myself and become a more confident communicator. Here's a simple exercise you can do to help overcome your fear of making mistakes. Grab your phone. Open the voice recorder app. Choose any topic that comes to mind and speak for 3 minutes straight without stopping. Don't overthink it, don't edit yourself, and definitely don't delete the recording afterward. Once you're done, listen to yourself objectively. Pay attention to your pauses, your errors, and the emotions you can hear in your voice. Then try speaking about the same topic again, focusing on speaking with better flow and clarity. Make this a daily habit, and you'll soon find that you stop fearing mistakes and start viewing them as valuable fuel for your continued growth. You were never meant to speak perfect English, devoid of any errors or imperfections. You were meant to speak real English. English spoken with courage, with genuine emotion, and with the understanding that mistakes are simply an inevitable part of the journey. Your mistakes are not the end of your path to fluency. They're actually the very beginning. Step 4. Stop collecting words. Start using them in real life. Here's a question that will shake your entire English routine. What's the point of knowing 10,000 English words if you can't use them in one sentence? Let me repeat. What's the point of collecting vocabulary if you never use it? This is one of the most common traps English learners fall into, and nobody warns them. They spend hours memorizing vocabulary. Sustainability, inevitable, prioritize. Nevertheless, astonishing productivity. And yet, when it's time to speak, they say, I forget. I know the word, but I can't say it now. I studied it, but I don't remember. That's because you're storing words in your brain like data, not like tools. But English is not a dictionary. It's a language of usage, not storage. Let's say you learn the word effortless. It means something done easily without difficulty. Most learners will write it in a notebook, highlight it, and move on. But real learners, fluent learners, will speak it in 3 different sentences. Use it while talking to a friend. Repeat it during mirror practice. Spot it in movies. And repeat the line. Record it in a sentence. And replay it. This is how a word becomes active vocabulary. You don't just know it, you own it. You can use it anytime, anywhere, like a tool in your pocket. Every time you learn a new word or phrase, use it in 3 real sentences that connect to your life. For example, word grateful. I'm grateful for my mother. I'm grateful I found this video. I'm grateful for my health. Now, the word is no longer a stranger. It's a part of your voice, a part of your story. Use context, not lists. Vocabulary without context is useless. Don't just memorize, abandon, expand, convince. Instead say, she abandoned the plan because it was too risky. They want to expand their business to Europe. I tried to convince him, but he said no. Context gives life to words. Context makes your brain remember. Here's what fluency really means. Fluency equals the ability to use the words, without fear, without pause, and without translation. You can only do this if you stop collecting words like coins and start spending them like tools. Stop measuring your vocabulary by how many words you remember. Start measuring it by how many you use when you speak. Because in the real world, you don't need to sound smart. You need to be understood. And being understood comes from using words with confidence, not storing them with fear. Okay, moving on to step number 4. Stop treating vocabulary words like precious collectibles and start using them in your actual everyday life. Here's a question that might just completely revolutionize your entire approach to learning English. What's the point of knowing 10,000 English words if you can't even manage to use them in a single coherent sentence? Let me say that again, just to really let it sink in. What is the purpose of endlessly collecting new vocabulary if you never actually put those words into practice? This is one of the most common pitfalls that English learners stumble into. And sadly, nobody ever seems to warn them about it. They spend countless hours diligently memorizing vocabulary words. Things like sustainability, inevitable, prioritize, nevertheless, astonishing productivity. And yet, when the moment finally arrives for them to actually speak, they often find themselves stammering. I can't remember the word. I know it, but I just can't seem to recall it right now. I studied it, I swear, but it's just not coming to me. That's because you're essentially storing those words in your brain like raw data, rather than like functional tools. You see, English isn't just a dictionary. It's a dynamic language that's meant to be used, not just passively stored away in some mental filing cabinet. Let's say, for example, that you've just learned the word effortless, meaning something done easily and without difficulty. The majority of learners will simply dutifully write the word down in a notebook, maybe highlight it with a fancy marker, and then promptly move on to the next word on the list. But true, fluent learners take a completely different approach. They'll actively practice using that word in at least 3 different real-life sentences. They might try to casually slip it into a conversation with a friend, repeat it multiple times during their mirror practice sessions, actively search for it in movies or TV shows, and repeat the line containing the word, or even record themselves saying the word in a sentence and then play it back. This is the process by which a word truly becomes part of your active vocabulary. You don't just vaguely know it, you actually own it. You can confidently use it anytime, anywhere, just like a reliable tool that you always keep tucked away in your pocket. Every single time you encounter a new word or phrase, make a conscious effort to use it in at least 3 real sentences that are directly relevant to your own life. For example, if you've just learned the word grateful, you might say, "I'm so grateful for my mother and everything she's done for me. I'm grateful that I stumbled upon this helpful video. I'm grateful for my good health and the ability to live life to the fullest." Now, suddenly, that word is no longer just some abstract concept floating around in your brain. It's become a tangible part of your own voice, a part of your own personal story. Always prioritize using words in context rather than just memorizing them in isolated lists. Vocabulary without context is practically useless. Don't just mindlessly memorize words like abandon, expand, or convince. Instead, try using them in full sentences like, "She decided to abandon the plan because it was deemed too risky. They have ambitious plans to expand their business into Europe. I tried my best to convince him, but he flatly refused." Context breathes life into words, making them more memorable and easier for your brain to recall. Here's the ultimate definition of what fluency really means. Fluency is simply the ability to confidently use the words you already know, without fear, without excessive pausing, and without constantly needing to translate everything in your head. You can only achieve this state if you stop treating vocabulary words like precious coins that you're hoarding, and start spending them freely, like the valuable tools they're meant to be. Stop measuring the size of your vocabulary by the sheer number of words you can passively recall. Instead, start measuring it by the number of words you can confidently and accurately use when you're actually speaking. Because in the real world, you don't need to sound like some kind of walking encyclopedia. You simply need to be understood clearly and effectively. And being understood comes from using the words you know with confidence and conviction, not from passively storing countless words away out of fear of making a mistake. Part 4. The secret language of real English speakers. Speech chunks, daily expressions, and fluent patterns you must know. In every language, people have patterns they say over and over again. Not long grammar rules, not textbook examples, just real living, breathing speech that flows naturally in daily life. If you want to sound fluent, you must stop trying to speak in full, perfect, advanced sentences and start learning how real people actually speak in the real world. This is what we call speech chunks or natural phrases. And this is your entry ticket into real fluency. Let's break it all down. What are speech chunks? A speech chunk is a group of words that native speakers use as one unit again and again without thinking. These are not individual words like go, want, it. They are pre-made pieces of language like you know what I mean. I'm just saying, to be honest, at the end of the day, that makes sense. It's up to you. I don't even know. These are the building blocks of real communication. They help you speak faster, sound more natural, build longer sentences easily, avoid translation, respond like native speakers do. Many English learners sound robotic because they try to build every sentence from scratch, for example. They think like this. And I want to go to the store later. But fluent speakers don't build piece by piece. They use ready-made phrases. I was thinking of heading to the store later, actually. It sounds smoother, faster, more human. And once you memorize and practice speech chunks, you don't have to pause to think about grammar or word order. You just say it like a native speaker would. Now, let's learn the most powerful real-life speech chunks with meaning, examples, and real practice. I will now teach you 25 plus powerful expressions that native speakers use every day. You can use them to build real conversations that sound fluent, natural, and confident. I'll break them into 7 life situations so you know exactly when to use them. 1. Starting a conversation. These phrases help you open a conversation in a natural, easy way. Hey, what's going on? So, how's everything? Long time no see. You busy right now? Can I ask you something real quick? These are better than saying, hello, how are you? Because they sound real, not robotic. Practice these out loud. Hey, what's going on? Can I ask you something real quick? Use them in your mirror talk or voice recordings. 2. Giving your opinion. Fluency is not about being right. It's about expressing yourself clearly. Use these chunks to share your opinion without fear. Honestly, I think in my opinion, I'm not sure, but maybe it seems like from what I've seen. Examples. Honestly, I think he made a mistake. It seems like she's not happy about it. Use these while speaking about news, people, or your day. 3. Reacting naturally. When someone tells you something, you don't need a full sentence. You just need real reactions. Here are natural ways to respond. Seriously? No way. You're kidding. That's crazy. I didn't expect that. That's awesome. Good for you. Example, a friend says, I got the job. You say, that's awesome. Good for you. This is how people really talk. Not full perfect responses, just emotional connection. 4. Expressing uncertainty. Fluent speakers often don't know everything. They use soft, uncertain phrases to keep the conversation going. Here are examples. I'm not really sure. I guess so. It could be. Maybe. I don't know. It depends. Let me think about it. Example, do you think he's serious? It could be hard to say. Practice these in your voice journal every day. 5. Changing the topic. Real conversations change direction all the time. Instead of awkwardly jumping, use these fluent transitions. Anyway, by the way, speaking of that reminds me, Oh, before I forget, examples. Anyway, let's get back to the main point. Speaking of coffee, did you try that new cafe? These chunks give your conversation a natural rhythm. 6. Ending a conversation. You don't always need a long goodbye. Use these fluent exit phrases. All right, I got to run. I'll catch you later. It was great talking to you. Let's talk soon. I'll keep you posted. Example, anyway, I got to run. Talk to you later. Okay, ending a conversation fluently is just as important as starting one. 7. Expressing emotions or opinions casually. Don't try to sound like a textbook. Use phrases people actually say when they feel something. I'm so done with this. It's not a big deal. I'm kind of tired today. It was totally worth it. That's not really my thing. I wasn't expecting that. It blew my mind. I can't even explain it. Example, the view from that hill. It blew my mind. This is how real English sounds. Expressive, emotional, alive. When you master speech chunks, you stop thinking word by word. You build sentences quickly. You sound more fluent, even if your grammar isn't perfect. You feel more natural and confident. You understand real conversations, movies, podcasts faster. This is how fluent people speak, and now you will too. How to practice this every day. Choose 3 new phrases per day. Speak them 10 times each. Use them in your mirror talk. Watch native content, vlogs, interviews, shows. Write down the chunks you hear. Repeat them aloud. Record yourself using them in real-life examples. Example, hey, what's going on? I'm just saying, maybe we try something else. Anyway, I got to run. Let's talk soon. Create role plays with yourself. Talk like 2 people. One asks, one replies. This turns passive learning into active fluency. You were taught grammar. You were taught rules. But no one taught you how people actually talk. Now you know, and now you can speak English that is real, fast, natural, powerful, emotional, alive. The kind of English that connects you to people, not just passes a test. You don't need to know 10,000 words. You need to know how to use the right words in the right way. And that's exactly what this part gave you. Now, it's your job to use these chunks every single day until they become your own voice. All right, let's unlock the secret language of real English speakers. I'm talking about these handy speech chunks, everyday expressions, and fluent patterns that you absolutely need to know. In every language, there are certain phrases and patterns that people use over and over again, almost without even thinking. We're not talking about complicated grammar rules or textbook examples. We're talking about real, living, breathing speech that flows naturally in everyday conversation. If your goal is to sound truly fluent, you have to stop trying to construct perfectly grammatical, advanced sentences and start learning how real people actually talk in the real world. This is where the concept of speech chunks, also known as natural phrases or collocations, comes into play. Think of these as your golden ticket to achieving real fluency. So, what exactly are speech chunks anyway? Simply put, a speech chunk is a group of words that native English speakers frequently use together as a single unit, without even having to consciously think about it. These aren't just individual words like go, want, or it. They're pre-made pieces of language, like, you know what I mean? I'm just saying, to be honest, at the end of the day, that makes sense. It's up to you. It fits like a glove. The secret? Just stick with it. Keep at it day after day. You've just reached the end of what might be the most impactful video ever made about speaking English. And now the truth is out. You don't have to have a flawless accent. You don't need a vocabulary overflowing with obscure words. You definitely don't need to shell out for pricey classes. What you truly need is a fresh perspective, a more attuned ear, a dedicated practice routine, and a voice that's finally shed its fear. Confidence isn't something you sit around waiting for, hoping it'll magically appear. It's something you actively cultivate by speaking every single day without fail. Fluency isn't about chasing some unattainable ideal of perfection. It's about forging connections, summoning courage, and maintaining consistent effort. You don't have to become fluent in a single night. You simply have to speak, today, right now. This wasn't just about handing you some facts and figures. This was about transformation, a fundamental shift in how you approach English. From this moment forward, English isn't just something you passively study in a textbook. It's something you actively live and breathe. Integrate it into the fabric of your life. Weave it into the routine of your day. Let it seep into your dreams. Because the instant you finally speak without the shackles of fear, without constantly translating in your head, without feeling the need to apologize for every little mistake, that's the moment the world truly begins to listen to you. That's the moment you unlock genuine fluency. And if this video has given you even the smallest nudge forward, then I invite you to take the next step right alongside me. Subscribe to Native Flow English. Become a part of this ever-expanding community, and you'll never miss out on the lessons that have the power to transform not only your English skills, but your entire life. Because here, we're not just going through the motions of language practice. We're building voices that will resonate and leave a lasting impact on the world. Thank you, my best students, for watching. Until we meet again, keep speaking, keep believing in yourselves, and keep living your lives in English.